Step right up, ladies and gentlemen, and genders of all ranges, and welcome to the ARTPIT, conducted by the Jeremys, a pair of purveyors of fine art and oddities via the best damned art gallery this side of Long Beach, the Dark Art Emporium. Listen and wonder as we jibber-jabber about all things art, music, movies, and whatever other jive we decide to mosh together. Faint of heart, beware, and welcome to the ARTPIT. Hey everybody, how you guys doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
We are sitting here inside the Dark Art Emporium recording ARTPIT episode 5?
Yep.
Wow, it was in episode 5. We already hit that mark. This episode, we are joined by two amazing artists that have a feature show opening up here at the D.A.E. this weekend. I'd like to welcome Adam McCarthy.
Hello, sir.
And Travis Ricetto,
Hello.
also known as A Travesty.
That's correct.
But for the sake of argument, we'll probably just end up calling you Travis today. Yeah.
It's fine with me.
or Sir, or Your Majesty, whichever you prefer.
I prefer Majesty. Yeah.
Majesty.
Yeah, of course.
We're no longer tragic or travesty. It's Mr.
I like
Yeah.
I like your Majesty, but it has to be sarcastic.
Right.
Your Majesty.
If it's too sincere, it's just awkward.
I don't know. I kind of like it.
It's like, I can get into it. I'm
Yeah.
fine with it. So also, I'm Jeremy Cross, and as always, we have
Jeremy Shot.
Jeremy Shot. So, have you guys been in here before?
I've been here to come by and talk to you guys about this show, but this is my first time here, and I have visited the gallery at its older location
Right.
for a couple shows.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely remember having you there, and you were here for the one opening.
The one
that we
opening,
had.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah, from Memaro.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been to the other location like multiple times.
Of
so,
course,
yeah.
yeah. So we were talking about the fact that we've shown both of you gentlemen before, and we're excited to expand that with these two feature shows.
Actually, I think this is the first time for Adam.
Yeah,
that's right.
I have
We
not
haven't
shown here
actually
before
had
now.
What a way to break in, man!
Nice,
Yeah,
I
you just give me
appreciate
all
it.
the walls.
Yeah.
But we've known about your work for a while. We've known you for a while.
I think all three of us were actually in a show together.
Yes,
You,
at the
me, and him.
Hive.
Yeah,
Oh, at the Hive show,
exactly.
okay.
At the Hive, yeah.
A year and a half ago or something like that.
That's right. Yeah, that's coming up on a couple of years almost now.
Yeah. Because I ran into you when, like, I think I was taking down one of my shows. I ran into you because I think you and I both had a show together. And I think he was like also like a featured artist as well.
That's right. I
Yeah.
do remember that. Yeah. The Hive. I love that place. Did you see the video footage that he posted during the riots downtown that Nathan
No, I
posted?
didn't.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I saw some of that because my friend Karen, who's his neighbor, like his next door, but Karen Hazmat, who's also another artist, and she was posting some of his videos, but she lives like right in his same building.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. But yeah, there was one video of basically a guy with a hammer just walking by and just smashing all the windows at the Starbucks across the street there on Spring Street. But yeah, it was scary footage, man.
Yeah. It's about what it looked like down here, too.
Yeah.
It was a very interesting evening. But I digress. So let's talk a little bit about what you guys have been up to. So we've been planning this show now. I don't know, when did we talk about this show? It's been like a year, right?
Year, yeah.
Yeah, you gave me like a year's heads up
Just
on it. Yeah.
What's the right thing to do?
Yeah, sure.
Give you some time to fucking paint, right? So what's been going on in that year for you? I mean, obviously there's going to be some commonality in what we've all been experiencing, especially in the last like 4 or 5 months. But whoever wants to take it, talk about.
I've been, I have a full-time job, so I'm working from home instead of at the office. But other than that, my life is pretty much the same because I don't go out much and I stay home and I paint as much as possible. So that has not changed at all. Just being home more for work kind of gets you feeling a little bit more cooped up, and you don't have like these multiple worlds. All of your worlds are kind of in one place, because you never leave your home, or if you do, it's very rarely, and you're wearing a mask, and it's depressing as fuck. So
There's that.
I just been trying to delve into the art and spending as much time creating and planning projects for the future and such.
Have you been painting and working a lot more in the last year than you have previous?
I'd say maybe a little bit more, just because I'm socializing less. I'm not going out and hanging out with friends and stuff, and so I'm filling that time. I don't like to watch TV a whole lot, so when I'm home, I'm either working or I'm creating something, painting or drawing or taking a work. I took a few Zoom workshops during the COVID time, which has been pretty cool.
Yeah, you were talking about it.
Yeah, I took one with Carl Dobsky, who's a brilliant narrative painter, and a couple with Vanessa Lehman. Do you know her?
I don't.
She does a lot of, that one painting that was on my easel when you came by to pick up the artwork.
Yes.
That was something I started in one of Vanessa's workshops, where she does like an abstract painting first layer and then like pulls something out of it, looks for something within that abstract and then paints into it. And so that was her technique that I was applying for that piece. And I like to work in charcoal. I like to work in oil paints. So I usually alternate. I'll do one charcoal drawing and then I'll do an oil painting and back and forth and back and forth. So I'm just always several projects ahead. I'm already thinking what I'm doing 2 or 3 drawings or paintings ahead. I'm already ready to go.
Now, Adam, do you use the charcoals ever as studies for oil paintings? Or is it always its own thing?
I have not really. I've done oil paintings studies at a smaller scale than the final piece, but I haven't really used charcoal to study for paintings, no. It's a good idea, though.
I got to tell you, I love working in charcoal. I feel like I need a lot more practice to even attempt to master that particular skill.
Yeah, it's a fun medium. You have to. There's a lot. There's way less opportunity to fix a mistake in a charcoal than in an oil painting. Because in an oil painting, you can pretty much paint over any mistake unless the oil paint is too thick and it has dried, which is pretty rare with an oil painting. Because if you paint really thick, you probably know what you're doing, and you don't plan on going back in and trying to cover it up. But with charcoal, once you go too dark, welcome to that level. That's it.
Yeah,
you can pull a little bit off with like a kneaded eraser if you rub it over an area,
those gum erasers,
but it's gonna ruin the softness of it when you do that. And so you better really want to pull up that layer if that's what you're doing, or if there's texture in the piece, then you're okay. But I'm usually thinking ahead a lot with charcoal, and with paint you can kind of slap it around and come back in and change the values later.
I think that's why I like it. I think I like to slap it around a little. That makes sense.
For sure.
It's all coming into perspective now. So, what about you, Travis? What's the last? So, since we initially approached you about the show, not necessarily just like the COVID weirdness, but what's the last year been like for you in painting this show?
Pretty much the same as Adam. Like, I mean, if I'm not at work, I have a full-time job too. If I'm not there, then I'm at home, trying to paint or draw or something. I mean, to be honest, like I think I was telling you, like the last couple months, with all this stuff that's going on, for some people it like really fucking sucks. But for me, it was kind of like I got like a lot more time to like work on stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, it sucks, but at the same time, there's like silver lining to it, So I guess
nothing wrong with having a little time to work on
yeah,
stuff
exactly.
you love.
And I don't really go out that much anyway, so like really it was just like just hanging out at home with my cats and then painting and stuff like that. So it was cool, but it kind of sucks that like you can't go anywhere, like you can't go to an opening anymore.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been like a bummer as well. Like there's been like pros and cons to it, So.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the pro is more time to work, and the con is if
nobody
you need to be social. If you need to be social, you can't. So if you're not a social creature, this was your time to shine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Like if you're like an introvert like me, you're just like, fuck yeah, stay at home now, right?
Don't have to come up with an excuse not to come to your shitty party.
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. Yeah.
Or see your shitty band play.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I can't make it to your poetry reading. Apocalypse.
Yeah. I think it's like the best excuse now. You're like, oh, go do this. Like in a pandemic, really? Like, come on now. Like,
it can't be that important.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it.
I gotta say though, the one thing that I think is really cool is the innovation that it's created in a lot of different industries, not just with the art galleries. Like, yeah, we're doing VR and podcasts, and we're trying to figure out other ways to reach people. But there's like my wife last Friday, she went to a drive-in drag show.
Yeah, I was over at Hamburger Mary's.
It was at the. It might have been sponsored by Mary's, but it was at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So they actually drove onto the Rose Bowl, and there was a stage, and they had a big drag extravaganza. And like that's crazy that exists. That
Don't
needed
they
to
like drive
exist.
through like strip clubs now too?
I heard that they do in Texas. Isn't that right?
Texas and Portland. I think Portland has them and Texas has them.
Portland makes perfect sense. I was kind of surprised by Texas.
Oh, Texas. Houston is like a huge strip club population.
You would know.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's great.
He's a regular there.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, they know me over at Cheetahs.
All of them.
Wherever.
Yeah, like there's a few industries that really, like, there was no way that this was not going to affect you drastically. And I'd imagine being a stripper was at the top of that list.
Yeah, that's
Like-
tough to lose that
Lap
gig.
dances, no matter mask or not, that's pretty intimate. I'm just saying. And the VIP room is strictly off guards.
Yeah, I feel like it's tough for everybody though. I mean, like in some, like in big ways or like little ways. I mean, for like an artist too, it's just like most of like your sales come from like people looking at it in person. I mean, at least for me, like that's how it would be.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you can do all the virtual stuff that you want, but like
You can't fall in
it's-
love with art as much on a virtual
yeah,
tour
exactly.
than you
Like,
can when
because
you're there in
everybody
person.
sees art on their screens anyways, like all day long. So
Right.
it's just like another like thing like that. But you need to like see actual work in person to like get all the details of it, really. So.
And really, like, especially with the pieces in this show, because I saw them all way before I saw them today in person, and the scale,
It makes such a big difference.
like, there's a lot of large works from both of your collections, and I had no idea how large some of these works were. And as much as I loved them as 3-inch snippets on my fucking phone.
It's better in person.
Seeing them at 4 foot and 5 foot scales, it's overwhelming. Like you really take your time to invest into the piece when you're looking at it, as opposed to just like, yeah, that's cool. Flip.
And just the way that light bounces off of paint, man, you can't see that on a screen. You have to be in the thickness and the way the light bounces off surfaces is so important,
That's very true, especially when you're dealing with oil paints.
especially with oil paints.
Well, because also like the colors kind of are different on the screen too. I mean, no matter how much you edit something on for like to show online or like Instagram or anything like that, it's not the same. Like,
Anytime you reproduce anything, it
yeah,
loses
it just
quality.
it doesn't look the same. Like,
Yeah.
and especially like if you're the artist yourself, like you're kind of like nitpicking already,
Right.
To like, you're like, well, that kind of color is kind of off, it's kind of dark, But like in person, you can tell like everything, like how it's supposed to look.
Like we were looking at the those prints at your place earlier today, and you're like, it's just a little too yellow.
Yeah.
And it's probably like if you show that to
I
like,
would be the only person
Yeah.
that would know
Yeah.
that it doesn't look quite right. But
but that still
I know
matters.
that. Yeah.
It still matters because it's not true. It's not, no matter what, it's not going to be true.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a print.
It's a print, yeah.
But there's truer true, and there's bullshit true, and there's completely
And
lie.
there's dog shit, horrible quality printing, but this was a decent
Right.
quality print. The colors were just that shift off,
Just
and I was
a
like,
hint. And I can see what you're talking about, like yes, there's a little bit of a yellow hue to this that obviously shouldn't be there. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So basically, what all of you guys are saying is that after the 8th, if somebody wants to see this work in
Oh, God damn
person, hit the appointments tab on the Dark Art Emporium's website and schedule an appointment to see this stuff in person because
it's much better in person.
yeah, it is way better in person.
Do you guys remember how I said don't worry about like ham fisting any promo into this
Oh,
conversation?
I'm going to do it.
It's because he's here. He'll do it.
well, I mean,
seriously, it's driving me nuts not to have art open. I mean, that's what I do.
yeah.
Like, that's what we do here is have art openings. So if anybody out there is in the Los Angeles area and wants to come see them in person, by all means, call us.
I don't feel like I've seen an artist's work if I haven't seen it in person. Like
Agreed.
even my favorite artist of all time. Like if I haven't seen it, I haven't really seen your work.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah, and there's been plenty of times where I've seen somebody's work that I've been following for years, finally for the first time in person. Like this was true with like a Ryden piece. A couple of years ago, I saw a Ryden piece, a big one. It was was it the meat dress one? Anyway, and I'd seen his work online for years, but looking at it in person, it blew me away. The level of detail, and the cleanness of it, and the depth of light and shadow on it. And I'd always loved Ryden's work, especially that he spearheaded such a strong was such a strong voice for a subculture of art, and became this icon for that subculture. But yeah, as far as the painterly aspect of it and his skill set, I didn't get it till then.
Yeah, a lot is revealed when seeing the actual paint and the actual materials used.
So get your ass down here. Right?
Yeah, come on down.
Yeah. So let's talk about the show a little bit. I want to bounce between you guys and kind of pick your brains about where you were when you went into the series, and where you ended up on the back end of it with what we have now. So Travis, your show has a couple of themes that I think are pretty prominent.
Yeah.
So we've got religion,
Yeah.
or at least some form of theology.
Right.
Maybe not specifically Christian, but definitely some aspects of that. Some, yeah. Bondage.
Yeah, a little bit of that.
And
Just a touch.
Just flat out bringing sexy back.
Yeah.
Yeah, your JT is strong. So tell me about the series, man. Tell me what is God Complex with 3 X's, by the way.
Yeah.
Which
I thought it was clever.
I love the title.
Yeah, I don't,
God Complex XXX.
Yeah, I've
triple
been
X.
keeping that one tucked away for a while. I
good.
thought it was good.
Thanks for dropping it out here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think like my work has always kind of been like geared towards like sexual like fetish type of stuff. I mean,
Everything I've seen from you certainly follows that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all been like based on that kind of, just like in different forms, I guess. But like I think with this show, I mean, like God Complex is like the basic understanding is like it's somebody who's always like right about something, right? Or it's like they're infallible kind of.
Right.
So I kind of feel like religion's kind of like that thing. It's like it always thinks that it's right. It's like this is the way. And it's only this way.
Well, certainly every follower, no matter how much they differ from person to person, feels that way a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then also it's kind of like a control thing. So like.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I mean,
Kind of. Have you met the Catholic Church?
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like there's like 3 things that like in the world that are like, just they're made to control people. It's like politics, sex, and religion. Like, maybe there's more, but I feel like those are like the 3 like main things that like, no matter what culture it is, it's like those are the ones that matter.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm not really a political guy. I mean, I feel like everybody has to be now, but like.
I don't really see these as political
Unless
you
these
consider
aren't political at all. I don't think.
There are people though that will say anything concerning the church is political,
right?
But I don't see these as political.
No, they're definitely not to be political. I mean, I don't think I've ever like dipped my toes into like doing political pieces at all. So
I guess it would depend on how somebody wanted to define political.
Yeah,
but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't care, I guess.
Well, the thing I dig the most is Catholicism in particular, which is easily the strongest voice here.
Yeah.
Has this obsession with pain, with flagellation and and all these things and so bondage.
Yeah, I mean, wasn't like the Inquisition? Isn't that like a Catholic? Wasn't that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The Spanish Inquisition was Catholic as fuck.
I mean, like, like you're torturing people in the name of God and kind of stuff like that. It's like. It's kind of weird, man.
Nobody suspects the Spanish Inquisition. Yeah. So I love the play off of that. And all of the bondage gear. So I know that we talked that you use models.
Yeah. People that I know or have known or
are these all homies?
Huh?
Are these all homies depicted here? All friends?
Yeah. I mean,
do they have their own latex?
Yeah, for the most part.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that you know that many people with latex.
I mean, you kind of got to, so. It's hard to find people that are like down to just like, like do weird shit like that, so.
I need to get to know. I need to get to know more of your friends. I like your friends already.
Yeah.
Shit, now I really wish we could have a real opening.
Right? I want everybody that modeled for everything here.
If all the models used in all this artwork showed up, it'd be a really
Dressed
fun
up.
fucking party.
Right, as they represent. How amazing would that be? Especially because you guys both use models. Yeah. That would be great. Like people posing with pictures with the painting and the model dressed as the painting. Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Fuck, we suck. Why are we doing this during the apocalypse? Can we postpone this to like 5 years from now when we have a vaccine in place? So let's talk a couple of, well, actually, let's switch gears. Edit, move on. Adam.
Hello. Yes, I am Adam.
So, like we were talking about with Travis, what was the catalyst, other than us asking you to do a show, what was your catalyst for your voice in the show? And where did it start? Where did it end?
Yeah, sure.
Change.
Like Travis, I work with models. Usually, what I do is I'll hire a model that I want to work with because there's something in her that I'm enamored by, and then I'll usually have one concept in mind to shoot a model for, and I always leave time in any shoot that I do to leave it open and see what ideas that model and I come up with together. And I very much look at that part of my process as a collaboration with another artist.
That's great.
There are good models and there are bad models. And like the good ones you can tell by looking at, the work that they've shot in the past. And I like to work with people who want to be a part of the process. So I always have conversations with the girls that I shoot before I book them and tell them my ideas. And I have never once shot a model where she didn't influence it in some way other than just being there and posing her like I was telling her to. There's always something that comes from her that I love about that collaborative process.
So Travis was saying that with his models, he knows all of them. They're all friends, or so. Are some of your friends?
some of the girls that I've painted and drawn here I knew previously, but not the majority. The majority are girls that I saw and said, I want to paint her.
Just like
and mostly it's Instagram. Yeah, for the most part it's Instagram. Before I really got into Instagram, I met a few people on Facebook. But yeah, social media, you see. And I prefer to hire professional girls who don't think I'm trying to hit on them and get them to my house and take their clothes off. Like girls who are professional models know when you ask them, hey, are you available? If the first thing that you say is, what are your rates? And they know that you're serious and you're an artist who is going to pay them and it's a professional relationship.
Because I'd imagine that would get really awkward really quick if that wasn't
How many
the case.
times do you think a girl gets hit up by somebody going, hey, are you a model? I'd love to hire you. And it turns out to be bullshit, right? That has to be so much of
all
that.
the
So
time.
it helps that I'm an established artist. They can easily go to my website and go, oh, this guy. And chances are they know half the girls I've painted. I mean, every girl that I've painted up here probably has met one of the other girls that I've painted here. It's like, it's a small, or at least know each other on social media. It's not that huge of a world anymore because of social media.
Now, some of the girls repeat, yeah?
A few, yeah.
You've had a couple
one
of
model
repeat
that
offenders?
there's 3 pieces of here, but we pulled one of them. And yeah, there's definitely repeaters, and a lot of that goes back to the whole thing where I do a painting and a charcoal drawing. So usually that will come from the same shoot. Mm-hmm. So like I'll shoot the model in lots of different poses and different ideas, and then I'll do at least one painting and one charcoal from that shoot. So that's why I do more than one piece. But there's so many great shots from that one shoot that I pull from that and make another painting from that. I don't think I've had the same girl back twice to shoot, but I will take more than one reference photo from one shoot and use it again.
So did you have a favorite model where the collaboration?
I can't say that,
just
can
really?
I?
Hey, it's a professional relationship, so why can't you?
So not from a painting that's here. Like one of my favorite. Am I allowed to talk about art that was sold in another gallery?
Please, by all means, yeah.
So one of the paintings that I did was called Inferno, and the model I used for that is a girl named Shelley D. Inferno. And a lot of times I'll use the girl's name in the name of the painting. It seemed like a perfect name because it was a painting of a demon woman with 3 heads in a pit of hell and fire. So Inferno was the perfect name, and it was part of her, modeling name. And so a lot of times I'll name my paintings after if the model has a tattoo of a word on it. So one of my pieces here is cursed. She's a tattoo artist. Her name is Sabrina, and I'm going to blank on her last name. But she's a tattoo artist from Montreal. She was here for a tattoo convention, and I booked her to shoot, heavily tattooed, and she has cursed tattooed underneath her chin. And then I did a cursed 2 with the model named Hannah Black, and she just kind of looks like a witch, and cursed seemed to sort of fit with that same name, and the shape of the drawings are very similar, so I just decided to call that part of a series. But I get a lot of inspiration from the models that I'm shooting, and a lot of what I originally had in my head really, really is altered by that short relationship that we have, that 1 to 2 hours that we're working together. But back to your question about one of my favorites, Shelley was just very, very, very flexible and worked really quickly. Sometimes girls will shift their pose so subtly that picture A and picture B are too close, and I've got too many pictures of basically the same pose. But like the more dramatic difference there is in any pose that a model can give you, gives you sort of more reference to go from. And if you love a certain pose, you can ask them to hold that and adjust this or that or whatever. But
Travis is nodding. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I would love to hear what your experiences are.
No, everything he's saying is like super accurate. It's like, you might like a pose or something like that, but if you have too many of the same kind of thing, and it's just not working, like you just kind of have to like have them shift a little bit, and then even if it's just like moving an arm or something like that, and it works better. So it's good to have like a bunch of different references to work from. So
as somebody who's never really used models for referencing, I find it fascinating. Like just the idea of collaborating with somebody before you even start the piece. Yeah. And trying to figure out how that's going to look and what the composition's going to be when you're so far away from even getting started.
Well, I mean,
on the actual painting.
The reference is just that. It's just like something you can like refer back to be like, it's like a jumping off point, so.
Yeah, I use a lot of preparation time to work in Photoshop and such too. So like you'll see a lot of my paintings have girls with multiple arms. So they didn't show up that way. I photoshopped them, and I looked everywhere for a 6-armed girl. I found her. She was too expensive.
Did you look on Craigslist yet?
Yeah, the 6-armed girl section of Craigslist was down that day.
Yeah,
but yeah,
very,
so
very small.
I do a lot of Photoshop work, and I really work out the design and the composition before I start. I'm pretty much a slave to my reference. I wish I could be looser and kind of make a lot of major decisions in the canvas, but I just don't. I make small decisions, small shifts in hue or value or creative backgrounds and such.
I think with both of us though, because like both of our works are like pretty detailed. So I mean, like you kind of have to be like a slave to your reference if you want it accurate. If
you want it to look photographic.
If you want it to look like the
kind of
person
have a
that
photographic style.
You're painting,
because if you change one thing, it snowballs.
Yeah, and then it's just like I don't know who that is. So it totally makes sense. Like, and that's why I was kind of like happy that we were kind of like in the same show together, because I remember seeing his work before, and I always like thought like, oh, that's like kind of similar to mine, because like I don't know what it is, but like kind of not the same technique, but the same kind of.
Yeah, I totally see it too. There's a lot of similarities, but they're different enough that the work clearly stands out as each artist's thing.
It's different, but I kind of feel like we had like the same process, so you can kind of tell.
For sure.
A lot of the way that we work, because we put artists together, quite often, like 2-man, 3-man, 4-man shows, whatever, 4-person shows, and this one it was a no-brainer. Like,
yeah, it really looks like it to me, man.
It was like, you're both. There's a sexuality and a vibrancy to both of your works. There's a photorealism to it, but your approaches to each aspect of that are different.
Yeah.
I would say that you have a more loose painterly style, Adam, and yours is more more true realistic.
It's tough.
But
to be honest, sometimes I wish I could paint looser, but it doesn't work.
I honestly had to force myself so many times to stay loose and not fix a line because I want it to stay loose, but it's hard.
Yeah,
it's tough to that discipline.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It makes you crazy. I'll be honest, like, because even if like you look at something, you're just like, no, something's off. Like the tiniest stupid line or like dot or whatever, you just like, at least for me, I drive myself nuts. So.
Go crazy, just focusing on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I just looked at photos of the two of you, and I was like, oh, these are a match made in heaven. Like two rock and roller, like badasses.
Nice.
I don't even care what their work looks like. Put a show together.
We got Ace and Gene here.
Like looking at the two of you, like you guys could be in a band together. Like.
No, you guys really, to give you a quick idea, you should definitely Google what these gentlemen look like. Although, I know, Adam, you're pretty good about posting photos of yourself, or other people are good at posting. I've seen your face
I
online.
do some pictures of me in social media.
Travis, I don't know that I've seen your face online. I don't know that people.
Social media.
Yeah, good for you.
Me too.
I don't like showing my face, so like, I don't know.
So people would have to try really hard to find pictures of you online.
I'm kind of like secretive. I don't know. Like I'm not like, I don't know. My
You're an
girlfriend
art
kinda,
ninja.
like gets irritated because like I don't post anything, whereas like she posts, a lot of stuff. I'm just like, I don't like people knowing about me. Like,
Well, if you want to know what the two of them look like, log in on Saturday on Facebook Live and see the live show, and they'll both be on camera.
I don't know. I'm like really
Ham plus fist. God damn it.
I like the whole social media thing. I'm like, I don't know. It kind of pisses me off. At least for an artist, it's just like I feel like it's kind of killed art, like traditional art. It's great that like so many people can like post stuff and like, they can do digital work and it looks amazing. But like you have me and Adam who actually like work on this shit like every day, all day, like stressing about it, and then like. People just see it online, and it's kind of like they just swipe through. It's like, oh, okay, that was cool. That's great. Whereas like, when you're an artist before it's like social media, it was like you had to go and look at it. You were forced to look at it in person. So
It's a double-edged sword. It really is. And I have a most sincere love-hate relationship with social media.
Yeah.
It's allowed me to do things that I never would have been able to do career-wise without it. Connections and things like that just wouldn't have happened. But also, it is desensitizing. Yeah. It also, and I got to be careful how I say this, it gives people a sense of celebrity that they don't deserve.
Yeah, definitely.
Sense of entitlement.
And entitlement and like ego.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and it's ruined good manners. People
Yeah.
people say things online that they would never have the balls to say to your face.
Absolutely.
And it used to be that would just die in their heads, but now it's blasted out.
And if
you
anything,
end
it's
up seeing it.
the opposite of the person that would say that to your face.
Yep.
Is the person that says that to you on social
Oh,
media.
it's always like that.
Yeah. It's that troll under the bridge. It's what they're
Right.
called trolls, like because they normally would be hiding under a
Right.
bridge, cowarding. I'm going to take a picture of you guys, and we may post this online.
But yeah, if I didn't own two businesses, I wouldn't have social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, it has done wonders for the gallery and even the pizza place. Like, it's awesome. But on the other hand, like, it's toxic.
Yeah,
Very-
it's super
very
toxic.
toxic.
I have to take
Like for me
breaks.
personally, not as a business, but like for me personally, like scrolling through, like.
And you don't even notice that like how toxic it is until you're just like, fuck, man, like I feel bad about something, but like I don't know why. And like
Yeah, I was having a good day, and then I went on Facebook for 30 minutes, and what the fuck?
yeah, well, I mean, and like as an artist, it's like you're always like, I don't know. Me, I'm always like hard on myself. So like I go online and I'm just like, fuck, man, this guy's like knocking it out. Like I'm pissed now. Like I fucking hate all my work, and I'm about to throw it in the trash. It's just like. It's so bad for your own self-esteem. So.
But I suppose if that's driving you, then that's okay.
Well, I mean, like, yeah, it drives you, but then you're just like, I don't know. I'm hard on myself. So like I really like hate on it, and I'm just like, this is never going to be up to that level, you know?
It's funny because you can see it in both of your work that you're probably both pretty hard on yourselves when it comes to your own work.
Yeah.
You don't reach this level of intricacy and detail and realism without beating the shit out of yourself every minute while you're painting.
Yeah.
So do you find pleasure in creating the works, or is it a really indulgent masochistic experience?
The second one.
Yeah, all right. I kind of
Definitely.
How about for you?
I'd have to say for me, you know what I've noticed about myself recently is that the actual act of painting for me is very, very almost like a meditative state. Like I'm so focused. It's the only time of the day where my mind's not thinking about anything else. And I'm literally just focused on what I'm doing with the brush and the value and the color. But what I've noticed about myself as far as being hard on myself is that after spending 3 hours painting and I sit back and I look at what I've done, I'm usually quite happy with what I've done. But then I notice that the next day when I come back, I look at it and go, this is shit. What did I do? And then I go back in and I work on the parts that bother me the most, and then I'm happy, and then I go to bed, and then I wake up, and this is shit.
Yeah. It'll keep you up at night, too, because, like, man, I'll stress about something, like, for the whole, you know, I'll put it away, like you said, and then just you wake up, and you're like, oh, man, this thing looks like shit. And then it just, like, fucks with you the rest of the day until you can actually fix it. And then, like, it's tough when you work with oil because it's like you got to wait for stuff to dry, too.
Sure.
I mean, and, like, the way I work is, like, I'll put down layers, so it's like I'll start with an underpainting on some of them, and like you have to wait for it to dry. Or
are you using a lot of medium?
No, I don't think I use any medium actually.
No liquid or walnut oil or anything.
Sometimes like I'll use like liquid, but not.
So you really have to wait for it to dry.
Yeah.
Doesn't liquid speed drying?
Liquid speeds drying. So does certain oils.
So I use
cobalts.
Gamsol. I use Gamsol just for the underpainting.
See, but
that dries really fast.
But it'll also thin it out though too.
Yeah.
So, like that's
for the underpainting, that's fine. Never again will I touch Gamsol to my oils, but just for the underpainting. And that way your underpainting dries almost overnight, pretty much. Unless you go too thick, it's going to be dry in the morning.
But like with my stuff, I know like it's all kind of planned out. So like if something looks like shit, like one day you're like stressing about it, it's like, you know, you gotta like, at least for me, it's like I gotta take steps to make sure I get it to where I want it. And so like with like value changes and like color changes and stuff like that, it's like it's all planned out. Like I gotta have this color down first, and then this one, and then this one, and then I'm done. So it's all step by step, and it's like it has to be precise.
One thing goes wrong.
Yeah, exactly. One thing goes wrong, and you're just like, okay, well, I got to start over now, or like I lost a day, or you know, a couple days to this, or I got to work on something else.
Now, did either of you take any school in for this?
I went to school, but like, I mean, I had a cool teacher, and he just kind of like said, do whatever, and like he was always like really about anything that I did. So I mean, it was nice to that like. I only did it because like I had like a studio spot, so you know it was great for that, you know. But like, it's nice to have a teacher that's just like cheers you on. So
sure. Where did you go?
Cal State, San Bernardino. Yeah.
And they had a decent art program.
No.
Okay. I don't know. Okay.
No, not at all. It's garbage, I think. But like, I had a paint teacher.
Damn, no punches pulled here.
I like it.
No, I mean they're all. I don't know. School's kind of garbage, anyways. But like,
I'm behind you on that one.
Yeah,
Don't listen to him, kids. Stay in school.
No, my paint teacher was awesome. Like, and like I think that he helped me a lot, and just by not, I don't know, like he just kind of like let you do what you wanted to do. It's he wasn't a hater on anything you did. So
one of the things I was curious about the schooling is I would imagine that. The process, especially when you were talking about all of your layers and the way that your pieces glow, Travis, especially as having to use some old master's techniques and having to learn some sort of old master's techniques in order to achieve that.
What do you mean? Like
the fucking snot on her face is insane, dude. Like the snot
You
on her
people have to
face.
come down and see this work.
Like,
It's so
like
beautiful.
really, how like you had to study to learn how to do that, right? Like,
So you never studied old masters?
I'm not like, I mean, this is gonna sound bad, but I'm not into like other artists.
I'm not an art
That's
history guy
okay.
either.
Yeah.
I'm not that big into old. Like all my favorite painters are like live down the street.
Well, I
Right.
mean, like contemporary art, even like artists now. It's like I usually don't look at other people's work because I just don't want to be influenced by it. I just want to do my own shit. So
Yeah.
you know, and like it kind of sounds shitty as like an artist. Like
I don't think so. I don't
Not
think
at
that
all,
sounds
man.
shitty at all. I think that it says something about you trying to keep your work pure.
Yeah, exactly.
Purely your influence.
I mean, obviously, like everybody's gonna be influenced by something, but like,
Right. You had to have somebody that got you started on caring
yeah.
about
But you know
it.
what? I feel like I find more influence from like music and books and like authors and stuff like that. You know, it's just instead of other artists because I feel like art is more like an idea than.
well, why did you start painting? Like, why was that the art medium that you went with? Like, I play
I have
bass
no
and
idea.
guitar.
I have no idea.
Like,
It's just like one of those
I
things-
like the realism with you, man. You're like, I don't
That's a
fucking
good
know.
fucking question, man.
like there
You're
wasn't
like, why do I have to have an answer to this?
There wasn't like an uncle or a dad that drew or anything
No,
like
I mean,
that.
like I have an aunt that like paints, but like it's just I've always done art like for.
Well, every kid does art, right?
Yeah, you
Most
know.
people just stop.
Yeah, and like your parents are like, "Oh, you're doing such a good job with like your drawing and stuff. It looks great," and so you just kind of like keep doing it. And I mean, for me, it's just it used to be comfortable. Now it's like kind of like
You cornered yourself, didn't you?
yeah, it's like this is like all I know how to do. So it's like I just kind of got to keep going with it, I guess. So
So, Adam, did you take any schooling for
So
art?
no, I'm basically completely self-taught in painting and drawing. I've in the last couple of years started taking more and more workshops with artists that I would like to learn from, but it's less of a formal education where you're actually in a course where it's over months of a time and such. So
I don't
basically
imagine
just pick
it's.
up paints and figure
I
it
don't
out.
imagine it's much different, and if anything, it's probably because of who you're choosing. It's
better,
more
too.
fine-tuned to
Yeah.
what you're wanting to achieve with your work.
Yeah,
So,
well,
way
what I
better.
love about workshops is that it's usually like 1 or 2 days, usually 2 days with an artist that's either local or traveling through, and just taking a small class of students to basically just let you paint, let you watch them paint, and then a little bit of instruction. And the thing I've taken away from that is watching somebody paint is extremely valuable to see just what are you doing to get that effect. And they can talk about it all they want, but seeing them pick up the brush, dip it into that, and hit it onto the canvas, you learn a lot. And I've just used that to sort of build a toolkit. So I'm not going to take a workshop like one person, for example, is Stephen Assail. Do you know his work? Fucking phenomenal painter, right? But I don't want to paint like Stephen Assail. I want to know how he paints, what decisions he makes, and why he's making those decisions, and then apply that to my work.
Right.
So I learned a few things that he did that I loved, and then he would do other things, and I'm like, I don't like that for my work. So I didn't. And another one I took was one from Sean Cheatham. And Sean and Stephen could not be more different in their technique, but they're both extremely talented painters, right? Sean, every single brushstroke is pre-mixed on his palette, and he puts it down in these like blocky shapes.
That's like
and then
magic
picks
to
the
me.
next one, puts it next to it, and then blends it all together. But Steven is just slopping it on there and moving shit around. And I do part of Sean's technique when I'm doing certain types of painting, and I use Steven's technique when I'm doing other types of painting. So one of the biggest things I picked up from Steven is he starts everything with a fan brush, like a big fan brush. And what I love about that is it forces you to not focus on tiny details. You have to figure out just the large shapes, the large value changes and such. And no matter how much you want to start the under eyelid, you can't do it with it. You simply cannot physically do it with
Is
this
that what
brush.
those things are
so
for?
it forces you.
'Cause I've never known.
It forces you to get the biggest, most important shapes first, and then you refine down to smaller brushes. And I love that because I hate it because I tend to focus. I tend to want to narrow down on those details, but this stops me from doing it too soon. And so it's given me a tool that I love using that I wouldn't have otherwise had if I had not sat and watched him and listened to him talk about how he paints.
It's crazy because like you're saying like blocking in everything, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But then there's also like these artists that do super realistic work and they go piece by piece, you know, like they do like the complete
I can't even wrap my
first
head around that.
Yeah, because then like, I mean, I've always like from what I've learned from myself is like you got to make sure like the whole thing is complete, you know, like works together before you. Like you said, like before you start working on like the details.
I used to paint like that.
Yeah, what happens if like you know you
that
do this
kind
one
of certainty?
Yeah,
like that far ahead.
Yeah, exactly.
Is what boggles my mind. I don't know how you can be so sure that everything is going to go just fine from there.
I can tell you how. It's Photoshop.
Oh, there you go.
If you have your entire thing figured out in reference material in front of you, you're just trying to make that.
But
and that's
still,
that's why
like,
I used to
even
paint
mixing
that way.
paint though. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I run out of color like all the time. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I gotta like figure out how to like make this exact shade and color again. Because sometimes the way
I gotta say,
like,
I'm pretty good at that. And I love it when I get it just right. And you take that sample brush stroke into the same area to see if it's and it's like orgasmic. Like, oh yeah, it's perfect. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I have like the side of my easel that I use at home is just like covered in like sample spots because like I'm always like testing like, okay, that's not exactly right. Like, let me keep mixing some more.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the guys that can like do like complete parts of like a painting and without like covering everything. It's impressive because, I mean, especially for like skin tone, because like, you know, when I do skin tone, it's like I got to make sure I have enough of it because I want it all to be like the same color, kind of. You know, it's like starting out. You know, obviously like.
Do you underpaint?
Huh?
Do you do underpaintings?
Yeah. So, sometimes, like some of them are like I just go in on it.
So I know a lot of people they'll do like green or blue layers on skin tone as underpaintings. Do you guys do blue or green?
I do like sepia tone.
Sepia.
Yeah, same.
I tried like some like adding green to it. Like you know it works, but it just depends on like what the painting is.
Right. So, what your lighting looks like.
Yeah, you know.
Let's talk about the sides of your paintings, Travis.
Yeah.
So we've had pieces in here before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was they were like sexually explicit manga or hentai.
Yeah.
On the sides, because you don't frame your works. They're unframed box canvas. But you didn't do that with this show.
No, they're all Bible pages.
Yeah. Are they specific Bible pages to the pieces?
No.
I'm asking too much. I'm
just in my living room, like chopping up a Bible, like, you know, okay.
I feel like that's enough.
Yeah.
I feel like that's
so lazy.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So edgy.
It's lazy blasphemy.
So did you have a Bible laying around, or did you go buy a Bible to fuck it up?
No, there's like...
You're supposed to steal them from the pews at the church, right? Make it really evil.
Okay, so there's like a Christian store like down the street from my house, and so like I've gone in there a few times, and like they look at me and they're just like, "What? Like, do you need Jesus?" And I'm like,
You're like, "Yeah,
I'm good. Like, I'm gonna buy this Bible and like these rosaries and you know all this like stuff that you know I don't need." So,
well, except for photo references, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So, but you kind of get like a weird eye, and you're just like. Here you go. I actually had like a shirt on, like, I forget what band it was, but like the lady was like, oh, what is that? It had like a fist or something like that with like spikes on it. I think it was like Anti-Nowhere League or something like that. And she was like, what does that mean?
You're like, it means Jesus loves me.
Yeah.
Just send me this fucking Bible.
Yeah.
So I want to ask about one of your pieces specifically before I ask Adam basically the same question. The lady with the candles and the mouth full of crucifixes.
Yeah.
Who was the poor creature that you shoved a mouthful of crucifixes into? And did she actually have a mouthful of crucifixes or was that done in post?
Huh?
Did she actually have those in her mouth?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's not like Photoshopped or anything. Like I don't like... I try not to like Photoshop anything. It's just... It's all... actually there.
So she was sitting there with her hands tied with a mouthful of what looks like 30 crucifixes. Little miniature crucifixes.
At least, yeah.
And she was okay with this.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to find people that are like cool with like doing.
It's a good friend.
Yeah, not friends with her
It's
anymore.
not. It's
but,
not
like,
hard to find a girl that'll deep throat a crucifix.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Fair enough.
You know, but
They're
like,
everywhere.
Were the tears real?
no,
You
I think
put that many crucifixes in your mouth. See if you cry.
But like, I mean, like the rope and everything, like that's all real. Like I
Yeah.
didn't, try and like fake that. And that's like the thing too is like, if I'm gonna paint something and I want it realistic, it's got to be realistic. I can't like fake anything, like it's got to be like actually done. Because I don't want to like mess up on something and be like, oh, like the shadow's weird on this,
Yeah.
So you actually like, I've actually kind of like learned how to tie and stuff like that. So it's just like one of these things like,
You got to learn how to knot.
yeah.
Yeah. Not so important when you're going to paint a bunch of bondage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not really my thing, but like for like my work, it is.
Practice
So.
on the cats.
Yeah, maybe.
Really? So, no. Right, we're just gonna,
He's
we're
not
just
gonna let that go?
bypass that.
Cat bondage.
No,
It's an art
it's
form.
not really your thing. But like, all you do is paint bondage.
Yeah.
But it's not like something you do in your personal life.
No.
Or- not at all.
No, like I'm not like I don't even think like I'm into like latex or anything like that. I just think
It's just an aesthetic that you.
yeah, I just think it's interesting actually. Like, I mean, like I don't go to like
you don't go to
S&M
fetish
clubs or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah.
that. Like I don't think I've ever actually been. So it's just
It's just something that interests you.
yeah.
Well, not all of your pieces have had bondage. They've all had a sexual aspect to them, but
Yeah.
they're not always bondage.
No. There was one that we had here with like a bunch of squid coming out of the girl's mouth.
Yeah, so like some of them like
Actually, one of my
That was
favorite pieces
amazing.
that you've done, which
That
is
was
hanging
a-
right behind
so
me,
beautiful.
My
is
friend-
just
my friend
a
James
black
owns it.
glove.
yeah.
A black glove pulling down a girl's lip.
Yeah.
It's really subtle, but you know that there's a story there.
Yeah.
I really do. I love that piece a lot. I can't
So do
believe
I,
we still
yeah.
have it. I can't believe we still have it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna let you take it today. But yeah, it's so that and that's the other thing, that there's a story there with each of your pieces that I want to know more about, but at the same time, like I feel like I'm intruding if I ask. Not you. If I were to ask the people in the painting what was going on,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be intrusive, because I feel like I'm being given these privy moments to these little secret acts.
Yeah.
These moments.
Well, I mean, like to me, like
I
it's
think
not-
that's
it's
really
not-
cool.
To me, it's not even that weird. I'm just like, hey, like, I mean, that was, I think, like the reference for that was like shot in like my kitchen. I was like, hey, just like,
So humdrum.
hold on, stand right here. Let me pull your like lip open. Like, it's just that's how it is. I'm not like, it's not. I don't know. It's
Were
so,
you raised like hardcore Catholic? Like
my mom's Catholic, but like I don't know. I don't think
Was it?
Like, I feel like
was it like Christmas, Easter Catholic?
Yeah,
or-
exactly. It's not
Yeah.
even that. I don't even think like. My mom's probably gonna listen to this, but like it's.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
It's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that are raised like religious, like it's not really religious. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, like you're gonna be forced to go to church, and after a while you don't want to, and then like you fight with them about it, and then they give up, and it's like,
Well, religion as metaphor is equal to bondage as metaphor. And, whether you don't have to be into it in order to utilize it to tell a story,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I just figured you like had leather
He was a
pants
freak.
underneath.
No, no.
I thought you had nipple clamps on right
Bring
now.
out the
like-
gimp.
Well, I do, but I mean like,
Well played. So, Adam,
Yes, sir.
you don't like tattoos at all, right?
Not at all.
Yeah. So, looking at Adam, if you haven't seen him, he's I'm assuming neck to toe.
Not quite.
I mean,
but
I could
all-
neck to wrists at
most,
least.
yeah, most of my upper body that shows outside of a shirt is tattooed. But
And I'd say that with the exception of maybe one or two pieces,
there's 2 models here that are not tattooed.
every other one is tattooed. Is that something that you look for in a model?
Yeah, definitely.
And why are there exceptions?
I love the challenge of rendering flesh that has been tattooed. I find it just aesthetically really, really pleasing. The other artist we were talking about earlier that I was trying to remember, his name is Sean Barber.
Oh, Sean's amazing. Yes.
Correct. He's the one that had the show that he was supposed to be with Carl Dobsky, and it was supposed to be Carl and Sean at the Maxwell Alexander Gallery. That got canceled due to COVID. Damn. But Sean Barber has been somebody I've studied for a long time. I'm a huge fan of, and he paints exclusively not only tattooed people but tattoo artists. He's done
even
almost
tattoo machines.
Everything tattoo related. Barber's done a painting of it.
I love the multiplicity thing that he does.
Yeah,
too.
yeah, and you kind of see that influenced my work as well with the multiple armed people. So very different rendering styles, I'd say. His oil paintings look almost like watercolors to me because he's so liquidy with how everything drips.
Aspect.
And everything's always sort of very orangey and reddish, kind of hazy, and he's somebody who's really mastered the loose style. I find it so hard when painting a tattoo of like not trying to get the lines just right, but he's very good at keeping it very loose and very impressionistic, and it has a very soft feel to it. I tend to be a bit harsher.
Do you know Sean Barber stuff, Travis?
I don't.
Don't look at it; it might influence you. Go ahead.
Yeah, really. Yes. So I prefer to paint tattooed people, but every once in a while I won't. Like the one float that's on the social media for this show. This woman is a friend of mine, and I've just always been enamored by her look. And she doesn't have any tattoos, but I decided to paint her anyway. Yeah, gorgeous woman. I painted her twice, and I even did a post where I had painted her like back in like when I first started getting into doing like portrait oil painting. I painted her like 2012 or 13, I think 2013. So it was 7 years apart that I painted her, and you could just sort of see the quality difference in my work, but it's the exact same human being. It was just kind of interesting.
Is that her shades or yours?
No, actually, and it's funny because when you were talking, when Travis was talking about wanting the shoot to be real and he doesn't want to make anything up, so that couch doesn't. I don't own that couch. That was from
couch.
It's Photoshop. I shot her on my big lazy boy sofa that doesn't have any class or style whatsoever.
Sometimes you got to do that though.
Yeah, in that position. Well, because you can rent furniture, but it's fucking ridiculous. I just did a shoot last weekend for a girl. I wanted to be in one of those big Orb 60s chairs.
Oh yeah.
You can buy those for $1,000, and it's like, well, I don't want it when I'm done shooting it, and I don't want to spend $1,000. And so I was like, I just shot her pretending she was in one, and we'll see how it goes when I Photoshop it. Because I don't want my pocketbook to limit my creativity. So if I can't afford the thing, I'll fucking fake it. Like I don't have any problem with that. So yeah, in this case, everything was made up. The wall, the floor, everything is made up except for her. And the balloon she was holding wasn't red.
Don't tell me she didn't have a balloon.
Yeah, she did have a balloon, but it was not red. It was rainbow colored because they didn't have any red ones at the grocery store when I swung by on the way to the shoot.
There's a wonderful metallic nature to the way that you painted that balloon. And I know that I think I saw you post about it or I talked to you about it. I don't remember. But the shadow.
Yeah, it took me 3 tries.
I know that you struggled with that.
I did. I didn't have good reference for it either because the balloon I
don't
shot,
imagine there would be a lot of great reference for a red balloon.
There's some. I found some, but yeah, the balloon in the photo shoot was, like you said, a metallic, but it was one of the chrome metallic balloons, which light does not pass through those.
Sure, yeah.
But this was meant to be more of a latex balloon where light passes through it, and so you would see the red in the shadow through the wall. And I did find reference of that, but just rendering it and getting it to really feel right in oil paint was a hell of a challenge.
I feel like you achieved it.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I like it a lot better than the earlier versions. I can't say I'm 100% happy with it, but I'm certainly happier than I was from the first 2 revisions.
I love the painting. I loved it even more when I saw it at scale.
I thought it was a small painting when I saw it online, yeah.
Like not small, but maybe like
medium
20,
size.
24 inches, something like that. Seeing it at this scale is truly impressive. The other thing I really like about this piece, as well as the other new piece from the show, I can't remember her name.
That's called Kapala.
Kapala, is your backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That wall looks old and real and textured, and I feel like I could touch that, and I know exactly what it's going to feel like before I touch it.
Got it.
And that's cool.
Yeah. I've been getting into using a lot of sort of interesting tools to create texture. It's taken me a while to get there. Actually, yeah, I have used that in the past, but one thing that I find uses the most. Are you familiar with an artist named Jeremy Mann?
That I'm not sure.
Huge fan of Jeremy Mann. He's one of my favorite painters, and he does a lot of his textured backgrounds with rubber rollers. They're just big rollers, and they just leave an interesting pattern. So if you do layer after layer after layer with these rubber rollers, and then smooth in between, it creates this very concrete-looking textured look.
What rubber roller is this? Is it pre-textured? What are we talking about?
Like a brayer kind of thing?
Yeah, it's
for, like, printmaking
literally
kind
a
of thing?
brayer. Yeah. So it's just a roller.
for an ink roller.
Yeah, for an ink roller. Yeah.
Printmaking. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like a rolling pin that's small. You can get them in all different sizes.
And he's using this with oils.
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah, the thinner you go, the more textured it's going to be. Otherwise, it's just like using a roller when you're painting a house with a rolling. What do you call that? Yeah. Otherwise, you're just putting it on in sheets. But if you thin it, then like the way that the rubber rolls over the canvas lays it down in sort of these textured things. And I've used it in this painting called Chaotic. It was when I first started to sort of mess around with it, but it started getting better
That's
for
the
like
tall,
this
thin
painting.
one, right?
The tall, thin one behind you, yeah. And then Kapala was my most recent use of that. And
There's some
every time you
drips
get
in
a
that
little
one
bit better.
too, which is really
yeah,
cool.
and so
Nice
the drips,
contrast.
yeah, the drips you spray with Gamsol. The thinner your paint is, the more it'll react to Gamsol when you spray it. And it drips and looks like splatters, and everybody loves drippy textured backgrounds, right? So it's a cool technique, and I've borrowed some from Jeremy, and I've refined a little bit on my own.
The next question I have is there's a piece with a really cool macabre headdress. Mm-hmm. And it's directly behind you.
Is this one here?
Yeah, who's that model and,
So that's
and what's the headdress?
So the model is named her name's Kira von Sutra.
I knew it.
You know Kira?
We do.
She's yeah, Kira's a good friend of mine. Her husband and I were in a band together. I've painted Neil as well. And I have a painting of Kira at my house as well. That was one of my earlier paintings. But this is a charcoal of her, and that's her headdress. She's a burlesque dancer, and she's a model, and she wore this headdress because I asked her to. And she also wore that headdress in one of my band's music videos, and she's in one of the music videos as well that we shot.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
It's
love Kira. She's an
it's
amazing
nice
girl.
to see people we know.
Yeah.
You know, as they show up at the gallery.
Yeah, we had her do burlesque. We used to do at Alex's bar. We would do a burlesque and sideshow, and she was one of our burlesque dancers.
Yeah.
That's how we know her.
Church of the Freaks. It was a lot of fun. We
Love
only put
Kira,
on
yeah.
We did 3 of them.
3 of them. Yeah, I would dress up in insane outfits and host the event, and then we'd have magicians and burlesque dancers and bands and sideshow acts and working acts and danger acts and all kind of.
That sounds amazing.
It was so much fun. It didn't make any sense to anybody, like because nobody made a dime off of it, but it was a blast to do.
Yeah, sounds like it, man. I wish I could have checked that out.
Maybe we'll bring it might have an incarnation that'll have to come back once we're all allowed to gather in groups again.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Because it's something that we're both passionate about. That we love the performance aspect of art as well.
For sure, yeah.
You know, you can put awesome shit on the walls, but it's really cool to put awesome shit on a stage too.
For sure.
But you get Kira dancing, and then the radioactive chicken heads playing stupid music.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
show.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's got such great energy too. Amazing performer.
So Adam, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was specifically when I asked you to do the show, did you have a plan for what you were going to do thematically? Was there a theme?
No, I don't tend to like being a part of shows where there's a particular theme. Like a lot of guys, I don't know if you guys have done this, but you'll set a theme and say it's like, well, we were talking about the Heine Gallery. I remember one time they did like a true romance themed show, and everybody does a painting from whatever inspires them about that movie, True Romance.
No, but I meant like something
Sure,
that you
but-
set forward for yourself. Like this is what my concept is.
Yeah, so I don't really look at my work as any type of. I have recently started to fall into certain patterns, and I have accidentally stumbled into certain series. Like there's one series that I've been painting called the Crown series, and I'm about to start on the 4th of that series. And it started with a painting I'd done of Karen Hazmat we were talking about.
That painting is amazing.
Thank you. And when I finished it, I was like, I want to do another one like this in a similar style. And then I kept wanting to explore that theme, and then it became a theme. But it's nothing that I normally like set out to do.
And those are all tall, thin paintings.
The theme is that they all have the same aspect ratio, which is tall and thin, and then they all have like these sort of like sigils or like magic runes over their heads and such that look like kind of like a crown. That's why I call it the Crown series. But up until then, I'd never really thought of doing any sort of series or theme. I'm just like each piece is born in and of itself. So for this particular show, I was like, whatever I have on my walls, that's what I'm going to give them. But because I kind of always paint naked tattooed women, you've got 15 paintings of naked tattooed women.
There's still a theme there.
Yeah.
And, nobody's upset about it at all. Now, Travis, with yours, did it start out with the religion, bondage, sexuality theme, or did that evolve?
No, I think it was already like planned, because I had a piece in the group show, and I think it was like the Tiny Terrors last year, which was like, I called it Jesus Slaves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Like, I don't know how I came up with this, but like, I really liked it. I was kind of mad that it got sold too, because I wanted it back. And so like,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was kind of mad. I was like, fuck, man, like I wanted that back, but for myself. But I think that was kind of like the jumping off point.
So that was just something that you wanted to explore further?
Well, because like, I mean, my work before this was kind of like, I felt like it was more based on like Japanese themes, like I used to go there like every year. So like I was like really into that, like their culture and stuff like that. And just like, the artwork and stuff like that. So
you go to Japan on the regular?
Yeah, I used to go like every year, and now I can't. So I'm kind of bummed.
Do you have friends there or family?
Yeah. And then like my tattoo artist is there too. So, I mean.
Do you speak Japanese?
I was trying to learn a little bit, but like I'm super rusty now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd imagine that's something that you really have to keep up.
Yeah, I was like taking classes and like I had friends that spoke Japanese, so like I was like really like I really wanted, if like art didn't work out, I wanted to be like a translator or something like that. But I mean,
You could probably move there and teach English.
yeah, I have friends that do that, but I think now it's kind of like we're stuck here now. So, but yeah, so like that was like really like, I don't know, I had like a real appreciation for, like a lot of the stuff that they did. And I mean, like, if there were artists that, like I said, would say like influenced me, is like Yoshitoshi. Mm-hmm. Like he did a lot of like bondage stuff too, and
How about Soriyama?
yeah, Soriyama. Oh, I fucking love him,
love
dude.
Soriyama.
Like that guy's work is so amazing.
Insane, yeah.
Yeah. So like, but I mean, like with like Yoshitoshi, it was like he's like only like one of a few artists back in the day that were like cutting people open and tying people up, and you're just like, this is sick. Like I love it. And I've seen like it, like there was a museum I went to in Tokyo that like they had like all his work.
Oh, man.
Well, not like all of it, but like they had like a ton of it.
A lot of it, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, it's amazing to see up close. And so I think if there was one artist, I think like that's like one of like an influence. So
what is it about that culture that draws you in?
I don't know. It's just like, I'm not saying it's like a thing, but like it's always been something that like I've been attracted to, so I can't really explain it. You just like something because you like it.
Right.
So
There's nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
For sure. Tattooed, pretty girls, bondage and sexuality.
Weird shit, yeah.
Nothing wrong with being into any of that, is my
Yeah.
opinion. So, if you were to describe your show in a sentence or two, either one of you, or your
Pressure's
work,
on.
if you, maybe not the show, but just your work in general, give me that headline overview.
Naked tattooed girls.
All right. It just is what it is, man.
Yeah.
How about you, brother? Travis?
I don't know. Kinky religion?
Kinky religion.
You know what it is?
Religion as kink?
Maybe.
Yeah. He's like, whatever.
I think I want to do like work that like my mom can't show her friends that,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of like what, yeah.
Like she's
If
so
your mom likes
proud.
it, it sucks. That's the name of the show. If your mom likes it, it sucks.
Yeah, there you go. That's perfect. I love that. Yeah, like I love talking to my mom because, like, you know, I'll meet her, like, work friends or something like that, and they're like, oh, you're the artist, right? And I'm just like, what have you seen, though? Like, because my mom should not be showing you some of this.
She's so
like,
proud that you're an accomplished artist, but she's like, but I can't show you anything that he does.
Like, my son is weird. Like,
have you ever painted something for her that was just for her, though?
I gave her, like, a painting, but it wasn't like, you know, I paint other things, too, but, like, it's been a while. But, like, I gave her, like, an older, like, smaller piece that was just tame. But, I mean, lately it's just been focusing on, like stuff for, like, this show. I mean, this is all stuff that I've worked on, like, since you told me you want to have a show, like, a year ago.
Right.
So it's not like, it's all, like, fresh. So.
It's like for me, like, my mom, she's often said, I want your art. I want to have a piece in my house, but not that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually,
Not that
but not that. And
Yeah.
every piece is, but not that.
Yeah.
So I specifically painted, I went through a series where I was painting flowers. Like, true to life, just painting flowers. And I gave those studies to her.
Yeah.
You know, so that mom could have something that she could be like, see, my son's an artist and he's socially acceptable. He paints flowers.
Yeah.
I took a workshop at Klein Academy out in Culver City, and it was just like there was no real particular theme other than it was just a painting workshop, and they just had different still lifes around. And I gave my mom one of the still lifes because normally I would not have drawn a pot next to a flower, but
Right.
I did that day, and so it went to mom.
And she loved it.
She loved it.
Of course she did. I think that for artists like us that maybe have more conservative parents, like, you know, you got to throw them a flower or a bone.
Oh, my family asks me all the time to, like, make stuff. I feel like I have, like, a backlog of things like I need to do for them, you know,
Right.
and I'm just like, I don't have the time right now. Like, I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to paint you, like, something nice, but that's not where it's at right now.
I'm too busy painting tentacles coming out of a pussy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom.
Yeah.
Priorities.
There's priorities, yeah.
I can just see Travis's mom, like, cropping, like a fourth of one of his paintings. Like, he's really good at rope.
Like, look at the detail.
Really good.
Look at the detail on this crucifix that you don't know is coming out of a guy's pants.
Yeah, exactly. Poor mom.
I wanted to talk about that piece really quick. So there's a guy in white latex in a
Hold on, who
Pope's-
says it's a guy, though?
Yeah, I
Oh,
wasn't
fair
sure it
enough.
was a guy.
Fair enough. I assumed it was a dude, but please correct me if I'm
I
wrong.
didn't, actually.
I thought it was a woman.
That's weird.
But, okay, all my work is, like, are women.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
I haven't
I
painted
just
a guy
assumed
yet.
that was a dude yet.
Yeah.
Maybe
But
maybe
she's
that's
dressed like the
maybe
Pope,
that's
so
just my
the
fetish.
The connotation is that it's a
You
male,
know,
but it's
existing itself into reality. So there is a person of undisclosed gender that's obviously female because you basically just said that, with white latex, a Pope's hat, a Christmas tree skirt as a robe, right?
Well, you're not supposed to, like, reveal that, but yeah. I mean, that's what I used as, like, a reference, but
Leather pants and a big fuck off crucifix sticking out of those pants.
it's a dildo. It's a cross dildo strap on. I mean,
Yeah. So
what more can you ask for?
the angle on that tells me it's not being inserted though. Like it was
Right.
just it's being ridden like a broom maybe.
Maybe it's just like revealing it, you know?
Yeah, just hey, look what I got.
Yeah, exactly.
So, what are you trying to say with this piece, Travis, is what I need to know. What's the message here?
Well, I think this one's called God Complex. This is like,
It's the hero piece.
yeah, it's like my main
Yeah.
one, you know? I don't know. I mean, I just kind of like wanted to irritate somebody.
I'm irritated to find out it's not a dude.
I mean, it can be whatever you want it to be.
Fair enough.
I feel like that's like
art.
the great thing about like latex, though, is like you can
you
obscure.
can't tell.
You,
Yeah.
you can obscure whoever it is. So it's it
Like
makes
you
it
got
more-
pretty enough eyes,
It's
it could be anybody.
exactly.
Yeah. White latex, that's not something I see depicted or in fetish very often.
Really?
And I like the way it looks, especially with that piece a lot.
Well, I really wanted to like work on like colors and stuff like that. So I mean, I could have just as easily done like black, but I feel like that's kind of boring. I feel like white, like really, there's a lot of colors in it. You know?
Creates a nice color balance with the white.
I think so too.
I really like the counter light of the pink floating on it as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
If I did black, it wouldn't look the same. So
Right. I get it.
yeah.
All right, and then one last question about one of your pieces. I forget her name again. The one in the middle.
Kapala. Right.
Kapala.
It's not her name. You want me to explain what Kapala means?
Sure, please.
So do you see the tattoo on her back? It kind of looks like a Tibetan-style skull.
Yeah.
That's called a Kapala skull.
Okay.
And it goes back in the Tibetan culture as they actually made religious bowls out of human skulls. And the way that skull in her tattoo is designed is very specific to that culture, the Tibetan Kapala skull. So I named the piece Kapala because she has a Kapala. And I just didn't know that. I researched it when I saw her tattoo. So what was your question? Sorry?
No. My question was about the tattoo work,
Yeah.
so that worked out perfectly.
So the model was somebody that I didn't hire as a model. She's somebody I met and then
Is she
saw.
bald in real life?
She is. Yeah, her head is shaved. And the tattoo was actually unfinished, so I photoshopped a lot of the finished parts of the skull. It's not completely uncolored, but most of it is uncolored on her back. When I shot, if you look at the reference photos, there's not a lot of color on the tattoo, so a lot of that I made up in Photoshop. But it was a beautiful tattoo. So when I met her, I had the opportunity to get her to come back and get naked and photograph her.
When I was looking at it, I was mesmerized by the color play in her tattoos, and I wondered. It looks like it was a task to create that.
It was a very tedious
that layering.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you done that much painting of tattoo work on a single person before?
That's probably one of the most. But if you look at some of my other pieces, like the one I was mentioning earlier called Inferno, the girl had something like 6 arms, one
Right.
pair of legs, but 3 heads, and her entire body is covered in tattoos. So a lot of that was tattoo work, but mainly maybe just based off the scale. Kapala might have more square footage of tattooed flesh, but yeah, it's a tedious process. There's a lot of layering involved in that to make it look like there's ink in skin, because like the way that light bounces off skin, it doesn't bounce off of like tattoo ink at the same like reflectivity,
Oh,
so you kind of have to adjust that as you're painting over. So it's just sort of a constant struggle on getting the design of the tattoo, the color of the ink, and then the way that the flesh is reflecting light off of it. It's a constant sort of push and pull on getting it just right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So as a person who's heavily tattooed and who paints a lot of tattooed people, how tired are you of people asking you if you're a tattoo artist?
It happens a lot, for sure. It's usually everyone's first go-to, especially when they see me and my art. I'm sure a lot of tattoo artists, especially these days, are fine art painters as well.
Sure.
Some of the best in the world, in my opinion. There are some just brilliant painters that are, their day job is tattooing.
We were just talking about Nico Hurtado.
Nico's
and
one, yeah.
Sean and
Carlos Torres.
Carlos Torres, yeah.
Yeah, they're
Sean Barber.
It's amazing to watch those worlds cross over, and it's really like I've only noticed it happening in like the last decade. That it's really become accepted, because I think it has a lot to do with, and this is just my opinion, but I think it has a lot to do with tattoo as an art form being elevated and accepted at a higher level.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can't. There's not this divide. But like, you're a tattoo artist. You can't be a fine artist.
Right. Yeah,
that no longer is a
the whole
problem.
tattoo industry itself has grown in leaps and bounds within the last 10 years. It's just sort of a generational thing. It's like now that kids who are turning 13 and 14 and starting to get into popular culture, their parents are like the first generation to have been in a tattoo accepted society.
Sure.
But even then, like I'm 47. I started getting tattooed when I was 18 years old, and by the time I was 22, I probably had my first full sleeve. And when I first got my first full sleeve, like nobody had sleeves. It was a really rare thing. And I'd walk around with a tattooed sleeves and people would stop in their tracks and stare at me because it wasn't a common thing.
I started at 16.
Yeah.
And I'm not much younger than you. And yeah, it was.
But same thing, right? Like it was a very small subset of society that had heavily tattoo covers, let alone on your neck or your hands.
And now he's the rebel.
Yeah.
Virgin flesh.
That's why I don't have any.
That's right.
I want to be different.
Yeah, so like, and when I first started getting heavily tattooed, I lived in Austin, Texas as well. So it was like you're in a southern state and you're covered in tattoos. It was a pretty freak thing. In fact, I'm from San Jose, California, and when I got my first tattoo, the only way to find a business back then was look in the yellow pages. There was no internet, so there were literally 3 tattoo shops in the yellow pages in San Jose. There's probably 1,500 shops in one neighborhood now. It's just it's insane how much the culture has exploded.
So your first tattoo was at a real tattoo shop?
Yeah,
Nice. Mine was not.
I can tell.
You had one of those backyard garage ones.
I traded a sack of weed for my first tattoo.
You definitely got some backyard tats, my friend.
Oh, dude, I am super proud of my prison tats. None of them acquired in prison, but just the style. Yeah. I've never been one for cohesion. It's a sketchbook.
Yeah.
It's not a full piece. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like the cover of your folder when you're in middle school, right? All the
Totally.
different scribbles and stickers slapped on.
I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where somebody was like, "Hey, you want a tattoo?" And I was like, "Yeah, hold on, let me draw something."
Yes, I do.
let me draw something real quick, and I would just, line of cocaine, draw up a tattoo. Here we go. Where are we at? We're in a hostel. Yeah, that'll work. I'm sure this is sanitary.
This is fine. Crazy.
We're not always smart.
Yeah, well, most of my earliest tattoos are gone. Pretty much, my first 10 to 15 years, I'd say, are completely gone. And my last tattoo from the 90s is now being covered up. So the quality of the work has just gotten better, and I've gotten some of my work lasered off and then covered over. But most of the work on my body now is post 1990s. Even though I was getting tattooed all the way through the 90s, they're just all gone now.
Travis, you're inked up too.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good.
Yeah, how long you been getting inked up? How long you been getting tattoos?
I don't remember. I think I started when I was like 21 or something like that.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah,
or
pretty
20.
young.
I don't remember exactly.
How old are you now?
33.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's been a while, but I mean, it's also been a while since I've gotten tattooed. So, I like you were saying, like it's kind of like a sketchbook, and like I kind of felt like that too. But then I kind of wanted like full pieces, So I feel like this arm is like a full piece, and I don't know.
Yeah, I've never had that desire, but I mean that's the great thing about tattoos is they're intensely personal and you can do whatever the fuck you want with them.
Yeah, it's definitely if you really want like a full like a back piece or something like that, it's like you got to think like way ahead, It's like you can't like do anything else on your body or like in that area of your body if like that's what you want. It's kind of like a painting, actually. I mean.
One thing that's nice about having moved the gallery, even though we've only been open to the public for a day before we had to shut back down, is that we no longer daily get asked how much for a sleeve.
Yeah.
But
you get a pizza and a tattoo.
But back at the old spot, it was a daily thing where we were actually thinking about making shirts that say Dark Art Emporium, not a fucking tattoo parlor.
That's great.
Because every day we'd walk in and we'd have somebody walk in and go, "Hey man, I want to get this thing with the butterfly and a skull, and like how much do you think that'd be?" And I'd be like, "I don't know, like $600. I think I got a pin around here."
You should have just done it.
Oh no, I'd be like,
let me get my paints.
Like $800, like, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know, maybe 8,000 because I should probably learn how to tattoo first." Like, you got to give me a minute to learn. I got to go do an apprenticeship.
I'd have people wander in and like, "How much for a cover up?" And like I
got a belt sander in the back.
Not one tattoo. Like, you want a tattoo from me? Like, do you hear? No.
It was wild. I never understood it. Like you would walk in and there's no evidence of tattoo parlor anywhere, but it was daily.
But we had really good art, so they've just figured.
I mean, it looks like, and even this looks like it could be a tattoo shop.
And maybe that's the cool thing about what tattoo shops are now.
Yeah.
is that they look like art galleries.
Yeah.
Some of them definitely are art galleries, like Raven and Wolves. Like it's an art gallery sometimes, for sure.
Yeah.
With amazing artwork.
Yeah. So, maybe it says something. Maybe it should have been more of a compliment as opposed to an annoyance.
Yeah.
But when it happens all the time, it was fucking annoying. Speaking of what this place looks like, if somebody hasn't been here before to the Dark Art Emporium, how would you describe it? And pretend like we're not here.
A lot of amazing artwork, a lot of black walls, and a very, very creepy vibe.
I don't know if it's creepy, but it's definitely like my favorite gallery.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks, man.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks. I'm blushing, Trav.
You guys all have the type of work that I would actually want to see. It's not like, I think that's why I'm happy to be part of this show, because it's like, this is where I fit in, it's hard to get shows when your shit is weird. So, I feel like it fits in, and I don't know, you guys have the stuff that I actually want to see. So if you're into creepy shit and
So it is creepy.
creepy, but acceptable because you're here, So if you're into weird stuff, then this is the gallery to go.
Yeah,
to.
and I like how it's not just one type of artwork also. It's not
Yeah.
just paintings on the wall. There's sculpture, there's actual animal skulls, and you even have oddities there in the cabinets,
Yeah.
right?
Human skulls.
Some fetuses and
we've-
other oddities.
We've sold a Kapala or two, actually.
There you go, see?
My favorite thing that's been here since day one that I can't believe nobody has sold is we have a walrus baculum. If you know what a baculum is.
It's that bone that
penis bone.
makes them hard or something
wow.
like that. Yeah.
And a walrus baculum is, you on the podcast can't see my hands, but it's about 2.5 feet long.
long, wow.
And it's curved in a way that it feels like a club in your hands.
Nice.
Like you could kill somebody with it. And
So if you fought somebody and you told them I beat him up with a whale penis or a walrus penis,
walrus dick.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that headline. Local shop owner beats a man with walrus dick. I just need
Hey, I
somebody
think
to get out of line.
You know
here.
what? I think it's coming though.
In the
just
old
wait.
spot, I was waiting for it. I was ready. I was like, first thing I'm going for is the fucking walrus dick bone. Any sign of trouble, it's happening. But we don't have so much trouble back here now. Now that we're a speakeasy.
If you got to fight off rioters or the Armageddon or whatever,
Right?
grab that.
Yeah, that was weird.
walrus penis.
I'm standing in the middle of while the riots are happening, holding a dick bone. Come on, let's go.
If they get through the barricade, I'm ready for them, and they're gonna think I'm weird. What is? That's not a baseball bat. No, it's a dick bone.
It's a dick bone. Get out of here.
Leave now before you die by dick bone. Well, Adam and Travis, I gotta say, it's been an absolute pleasure chit-chatting with both of you guys tonight.
Same, man.
Yeah.
Your shows, they're some of my favorite pieces that I've ever had on these walls.
Yes, beautiful.
Absolutely
Thanks,
stunning.
man. I wanted to say I'm honored to be with Travis. I'm such a huge fan of his work, and I couldn't be happier with him being the other man in the two-man show. So thanks, Travis.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a match made in hell. It's beautiful. It really is pretty. So thank you guys both, and thanks for spending the time to come on the podcast tonight. We are also going to be joined by you this Saturday when we do the Facebook Live reception through our Facebook page, the Dark Art Emporium's Facebook page. That's going to be at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where we're actually going to go through and talk even more in depth about each one of these pieces one by one as we go through the show. So thanks, guys, for being a part of that as well. We look forward to doing that. Jeremy Schott, hey, thanks for being here, man.
Hey, I was here.
You were here. Good job.
Sorry.
You did a great job of being here. So, any last words?
Well, just thanks to you guys for having us involved. Love dark art. Love being a part of the Los Angeles art scene and the worldwide art scene. But you guys are really holding, keeping the flame lit for dark art. And
What can I say? We're flamers.
yeah, just absolutely raging. But it's artists make art, but it's guys like you that make it accessible and make it an organized thing. So, I just want to let you guys know that I really appreciate that, all the hard work you guys do. Even for the shows that are not my shows, I appreciate you guys in the art scene, and I'm glad that you reached out to me, because I couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of your show. Thank you.
Hey, man, we're really stoked to have you, so thank you very, very much. All right, guys. Say goodnight.
Good night.
Fuck off.
Good night.